taking a little bit of a unique tact on this one. He's actually going to be evaluated under the guidelines of a project that he's already done. He's taking a second shot at it with a different speech, so it's a great way to get some additional feedback on a specific speaking skill. His speech tonight is called What's in a Name? Please welcome Shanil.
Fellow Toastmasters and guests, I remember a few years ago going to a party and meeting someone, and she came up to me and she said, "Hey, my name is Sasha." I said, "Hi Sasha, my name is Shanil, nice to meet you." And then a split second later, I've completely forgotten Sasha's name. Because I'm so focused on what it is I'm going to be saying next, or trying to listen to and understand what she's telling me about. So we continued our conversation for a few more minutes, and then once we ran out of things to say to each other, we were both a little too embarrassed to remember each other's names, so we said, "Okay, it's nice meeting you, thank you," and walk away. How many of you have been in a situation where you've met someone, and shortly after, you don't even remember their name, even though they've introduced themselves to you? Right? I think all of us are guilty of that. Remembering a person's name is really important. Right? What happens when you meet that person again in a different situation, and you recognize each other, but you can't remember that person's name? If you did remember his name, then you'd be excited and say, "Hey Sasha, how are you? It's really nice to meet you again. How are things going?" Right? Immediately you have that bond, you start building that relationship. Right? But if you can't remember that person's name, then you're more like, in a more mellow way, say, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" Because you want to pretend like you remember their name, but you don't want to still say it because you don't know what it is really. So, Dale Carnegie, the author of How to Win Friends and Influence People, according to him, he said, "A man's name is the sweetest sound in any language." Well, that applies to person too. That's what he said. And that's true, right? It doesn't matter what language you speak, your name means a lot to you. So I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, "Shanil, I know exactly what you're talking about. I completely agree with you. I love your speech." It's just that I can't remember how to remember people's names. It's really hard for me to remember people's names. I know exactly what you're talking about because that's happened to me. And so here's some techniques you can use to help remember people's names. The first is repetition. So when you meet someone, try to repeat their names in your head a few times. And while you're having that conversation, try to introduce that name in that conversation. So when Sasha introduced herself to me, I should have said, "Hi Sasha, I'm Shanil, nice to meet you." I've already said it once. Right? Repetition works, right? It kind of ingrains it in your head. Right? Try it out. Right? The second is, it's really important to everyone that you be phonetically correct when you pronounce the names. I know there are a lot of names out there that are very unique, that sound different. Right? My name is Shanil, but did you ever meet anyone else before today whose name was Shanil? It's fairly unique. Right? So I was doing some research the other day and looking at Wikipedia and YouTube to learn more about different languages in different countries. And what I learned was there are several tribes in South Africa where they use clicks in the languages they speak. Clicks are sounds that represent consonants. In other words, it's a click. It's a click. And imagine having a person's name that has a click in it. Right? There are actual people in these tribes who have clicks in their names. Right? Now, how do you remember someone's name that has a click in it? It's difficult. Right? The whole point is, pronouncing someone's name can be difficult, especially if it's unique, but it's not an excuse to butcher it. Right? Make every effort you can to try and remember that name. And the easiest way to do this sometimes is say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't quite get that. Would you mind saying it again so that I can make sure I pronounce it right?" Right? And most people would be okay with saying it again because they know they have a fairly unique name. Like, my name is Shanil, but when you spell it, most people, when they just read the spelling, they'll say Shanil. "Hey Shanil, my name's not Shanil, it's Shanil." That's the difference. The other thing you can do is to use your imagination. Right? So, when I first joined Toastmasters, right, I had all these new faces whose names I needed to remember. And I remember meeting Art, and I didn't know how to remember his name, so I tried to associate his name with a picture. So Every time I saw art, I think of a beautiful painting.
Yes.
So every time I'd see him, I'd think of the painting. It's like, yeah, I think I know him. His name is Art. You know? And that worked for me. The other thing you can do is try and associate that person's name, if it's a common name, with somebody famous that has the same name. That works too. So if someone tells you their name is Bruce, you can think of that person doing Bruce Lee in your head or something. That'll work too. Yeah. And then the last technique I can tell you about that often helps is to try and think about what their name sounds like. So several years ago, I met this lady, and she came up to me and she said, "Hi, I'm Mary Gardner, and the way you remember my name is Mary, Mary, quite the trick. How does your garden grow?" And I've never forgotten it. She just had to say it once. Similarly, when I go to people, I say, "Hi, my name is Shanil." It sounds like the clothing designer Chanel. Right? That works too. Or like fabric Shanil. That works too. So if you apply these techniques, it will really help you out remembering people's names, avoid those awkward, embarrassing moments. And most importantly, you know, if you can remember somebody's name and you meet them after a while and like, wow, he remembered my name. It can help you build lasting relationships, or at least a start towards it. That's it. Thank you.